Have you ever stopped to think that the names on the Forbes list might just be the tip of the iceberg, placed there to distract our attention from true power? While the world chases volatile stocks and noisy headlines, a parallel reality exists. A realm of secret wealth where the true capital isn't money, but silence. We are talking about global elites operating in the shadows, holding lost technologies capable of rewriting history, yet kept under lock and key to ensure invisible control over humanity. These aren't just inventions. They are monopolies on destiny. If you feel, just like us, that there are truths that deserve to be unearthed, this is the moment to join this investigation. Your presence here is no coincidence. If this search for deep knowledge resonates with you, I invite you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. More than simple metrics, your interaction is a vital signal. It tells the system that this community of free thinkers demands content with substance, allowing us to continue bringing to light what many prefer to keep in the dark. Tell us in the comments what brought you here, or if you have ever felt that progress has been deliberately held back. Your insight is the fuel for this journey. But the unsettling question remains: what innovations were these that generated incalculable fortunes entirely out of our sight? Prepare yourself. What we are about to reveal starts with a spark they tried to extinguish a century ago. Case 1. The energy that never reached the grid. To understand the true dimension of what was lost or other, what was surgically removed from our timeline, we need to go back to the early 20th century. A vibrant era of smoke, steel, and industrial promises. It was against this backdrop of accelerated transformation that one man dared to look beyond the visible horizon, proposing something that would not only change the economy, but the very structure of human civilization. Nikola Tesla wasn't just trying to improve the light bulb or optimize an engine. His vision was, in essence, liberating. He looked at the Earth itself and saw not an inert rock floating in space, but a colossal conductor, a living dynamo ready to be tuned. The Wardenclyffe project, the famous tower that stood on Long Island, was not merely an extravagant radio antenna. It was the pulsing heart of a world system designed to transmit electrical energy through the Earth's crust and the atmosphere, accessible to anyone anywhere, simply by driving a rod into the ground. Imagine the impact of this. Imagine the implications of an energy source that doesn't rely on tons of copper, coal-fired power plants, or complex distribution grids that charge by the kilowatt. We are talking about a resource as ubiquitous as the air we breathe. However, behind the scenes of power, where the true decisions are made far from the spotlights, this utopian vision triggered a red alert. J.P. Morgan, the financial titan funding Tesla's ambitions, was not a philanthropist seeking humanity's spiritual evil. He was a banker, an architect of monopolies. The moment the hidden truth about Tesla's technology became clear to Morgan was the moment Wardenclyffe's fate was sealed. Legend has it that the fatal question was asked: if anyone can access this energy freely, where do I put the meter? This question, brutal in its simplicity, summarizes the mindset that has governed global elites for centuries. Profit requires scarcity. Control requires dependency. An energy that flows freely, without borders and without measure, destroys the most profitable business model in history, the selling of survival. By withdrawing funding, Morgan wasn't just protecting his investment in the copper and rubber industries. He was ensuring that humanity remained chained to a system of monthly billing. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because this isn't just about a demolished tower or a bankrupt inventor. It is about the engineering of our own perception of reality. By suppressing wireless energy transmission, an artificial barrier to human development was created. Think of modern geopolitics: wars fought for oil, nations held hostage by pipelines, the pollution choking our cities. All of this is a direct consequence of that decision to keep energy as a finite and controllable commodity. If Tesla's technology had been allowed to flourish, energy scarcity today would be a concept as obsolete as horse-drawn traction. The true hidden wealth here lies not in the technology itself, but in the preservation of the status quo. The trillion-dollar fortunes of today's oil companies and power grids are, in truth, the ghost of that murdered innovation. They profit from the inefficiency they chose to maintain. This journey through history as forgotten corridors shows us that scientific progress does not follow a straight upward line. It is pruned, diverted, and sometimes buried. Wardenclyffe Tower was dismantled for scrap in 1917. But the physical principles discovered by Tesla did not cease to exist. The laws of nature cannot be repealed by bankers, only hidden. There are persistent rumors, whispers, in advanced engineering circles, that this technology did not die with Tesla. It is speculated that, far from the public eye, in black projects funded by budgets that appear on no official record, wireless energy transmission is an operational reality reserved for military applications or for the exclusive use of those who inhabit the top of the pyramid. While we continue to pay bills and charge batteries, there is the disturbing possibility that the solution to the global energy crisis already exists, locked in a patent vault or classified as a state secret. The suppression of this technology shaped our collective mindset, making us accept limitation as something natural, when in fact it was an artificial imposition. The revelations of what could have been generate a mixed feeling of fascination and outrage. Fascination for human genius, and outrage for the greed that contained it. Tesla's legacy serves as a grim warning. Having the ability to change the world is not enough, if that change threatens the coffers of those who hold power. Free energy represented the total autonomy of the individual, and there is nothing more dangerous to a system of control than a citizen who does not need it to survive. It is unsettling to realize that the infrastructure we see today, the cables cutting across the skies and the smokestacks marking the horizon, are not monuments to our advancement, but scars of a lost opportunity. And if energy was contained, what about physical matter? If they managed to hide the fire of the gods, did they also manage to hide secrets about the very stone and metal that build our cities? To know who is truly tuned in to this frequency of discovery, and who can read between the lines of official history, I ask you to leave just one word in the comments: freedom. If you have made it this far and understood the weight of what was denied to humanity, write that word, and let's continue to unravel what is to come. Case 2. Ancient materials modern science cannot replicate. We look at our glass and steel skyscrapers, and our suspension bridges with a quiet arrogance, convinced that we live at the peak of human engineering. We believe that chronology is synonymous with evolution, that today is always superior to yesterday. However, that is one of the most carefully constructed illusions of the modern era. If we scratch the surface of this belief, we find disturbing cracks. While modern infrastructure designed with supercomputers and synthetic materials begins to degrade in 50 or 100 years, requiring constant repairs and astronomical maintenance budgets, there are structures erected to millennia ago that not only survive, but become stronger with each passing day. The case of Roman concrete is not merely an archaeological curiosity. It is an affront to the logic of the contemporary construction industry. The Pantheon, with its unreinforced dome, and the breakwaters protecting ancient harbors in the Mediterranean, defy the corrosion of time in a way our modern Portland cement never could. The secret lies in a lost alchemy, the use of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. Modern science took decades to unravel what Rome's engineers knew intuitively. Their concrete is a living material. When seawater penetrates its cracks, instead of corroding the structure as it does with today's reinforced steel, it triggers a chemical reaction that creates tobamorite, a rare mineral that grows and fills the fissures, welding the rock back to its original integrity. It is a material that heals itself. Now, pause and reflect on the economic impact of this. We live in an economy based on obsolescence and cyclical replacement. The world's largest construction firms do not profit merely from building. They profit from decay, road maintenance contracts, bridge repairs, and infrastructure reconstruction move trillions of dollars annually. A road that repairs itself and lasts 1,000 years is not a miracle for the current market. It is a financial nightmare. The loss formula might not be lost by chance, but ignored out of convenience. The corporate mindset focuses on the fiscal quarter, not the millennium. The decision to use inferior materials, which ensure a continuous flow of need and expense, is one of the invisible gears keeping money circulating from taxpayers' hands into corporate coffers. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because concrete is just the rough foundation of this story. If we look at metallurgy, the mystery becomes even sharper. During the Crusades, Europeans encountered swords in the Middle East that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Damascus steel, legends said these blades could cut a silk scarf falling through the air and, in the next moment, split a rock without losing their edge. For centuries, this was thought to be exaggeration, battlefield myth. But recent microscopic analyses revealed a hidden truth that left scientists baffled. Inside these ancient blades, forged in clay ovens without any digital technology, carbon nanotubes were found. Yes, nanotechnology. We are talking about molecular structures that modern science only began to understand and manipulate in recent decades, present in swords forged hundreds of years ago. How did ancient blacksmiths manage to manipulate matter at an atomic level? The knowledge of how to select the ore, the exact temperatures, the organic materials added to the forge, all of this created a metallic composite of superplasticity and unmatched hardness. And then, abruptly, production stopped in the 18th century. The recipe vanished. Some say the specific ore mines were exhausted. Others suggest the secret was guarded by a circle so tight it died with its masters. But consider the perspective of strategic revelations. Imagine a private military company, or an aerospace conglomerate rediscovering and patenting the exact process to create carbon nanotubes, on an industrial scale and at low cost. Just as the ancients did. They wouldn't just be selling steel. They would hold a monopoly on the strongest, lightest material on the planet. The value of this is incalculable. It would transform aviation, space exploration, architecture, and weaponry. Whoever possesses this ancient wisdom holds an absolute competitive advantage. Behind the scenes of advanced materials labs, the race is not just to invent the new, but to decipher the old. The journey to recover these lost technologies is hindered not only by a lack of records, but perhaps by an active will to maintain the status quo. If indestructible materials reach the consumer market, the consumption cycle would collapse. Durability is the enemy of quick profit. Therefore, these lost technologies represent a fork in humanity's destiny. On one side, a sustainable, enduring, and efficient world. On the other, the world we have fragile, disposable, and extremely profitable for a minority. The true hidden wealth lies not in gold, but in the exclusive possession of science that allows for the creation of things time cannot destroy, while we continue to buy things that break. Someone might be sitting on the formula for the eternal, waiting for the right moment or ensuring that moment never arrives for the general public. But if the control of physical matter is already frightening, what happens when control shifts to something we cannot touch, but which dictates every move of our financial lives? If this reflection on purposely forgotten durability resonates with your perception of how the world works, leave the word eternal in the comments. Right, just that, so we know you understand the value of what remains. And now, we must leave the world of steel and stone to enter a realm where wealth moves faster than human thought. Case 3. Financial algorithms that predict human behavior. While humanity remains mesmerized by the solidity of steel and the grandeur of concrete, a silent and overwhelming shift has occurred without most realizing it. True wealth has ceased to be physical and has become ethereal, dematerializing into an invisible web of light signals, traveling through fiber optic cables at the bottom of the oceans. If in the previous chapters we spoke of energy that could liberate the world and materials that could sustain it eternally, here we enter the territory where the value of human labor is captured and redistributed in fractions of a second. The financial market, as presented to us in news reports and investment apps, is a facade, a well-staged theater designed to maintain the illusion of participation and opportunity. Behind the scenes, reality is governed by a lost technology, not because it was forgotten, but because it was deliberately hidden behind impenetrable firewalls and draconian non-disclosure agreements. We are talking about high-frequency trading algorithms and predictive artificial intelligences that have transformed the stock market into a battlefield where human beings no longer have the biological capacity to compete. Think about this. A blink of an eye takes about 300 milliseconds. In that interval of time, one of these sophisticated algorithms can execute thousands of and selling assets, manipulating prices, and extracting value before your brain even registers that the market has moved. This is the architecture of modern inequality. It isn't about luck or a nose for business. It is about pure physics. Financial elites spend fortunes drilling through mountains to lay cables in a straight line, just to gain a 3-millisecond advantage over the competition. Why? Because in those milliseconds lies the difference between banal profit and dynastic fortune. They possess the map of the terrain before the territory is even formed. This information asymmetry creates a scenario where the small investor, the one who believes they are making rational decisions based on news and reports, is actually the liquidity needed to feed the machine. He is the plankton in an ocean designed for sharks. The shocking revelation is not that the game is rigged, but the technological sophistication. Usitorigi, it mathematical tools so complex that not even their creators fully understand how they evolve, operating as black boxers that generate money out of chaos. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the true danger lies not just in the speed of transactions, but in the ability of these technologies to predict and shape the human mindset. The new generation of algorithms doesn't just analyze numbers. It analyzes people with the colossal volume of data we generate daily. Every click, every purchase, every second of hesitation on a website, these systems build psychological profiles of frightening precision. They aren't just reacting to the market. They are anticipating your emotional reaction to the market. They know when you will panic and sell. They know when greed will make you buy at the top. They play against your own cognitive flaws. The transformation is total. You cease to be the player and become the board where the game is played. This is the hidden truth rarely discussed. Wealth is being transferred not from those who work less to those who work more, but from those who are predictable to those who hold the prediction algorithm. The impact of this on society is devastating and invisible. Financial crises that destroy entire economies, flash crashes that evaporate billions in minutes without apparent explanation, are not system errors. They are often features. They are harvests Whoever holds the code has the power to induce volatility, to create giant waves where only they have the surfboards. It is a form of absolute control that requires no armies or royal decrees. It needs only privileged access to the data flow. And just like the formulas for Damascus steel or the secrets of free energy, these codes are guarded like crown jewels. There are quantitative investment funds that have never accepted a cent of outside capital, operating in total silence, generating impossible returns year after year, for decades on end. What do they know? What variables have they inserted into their equations that the rest of the world ignores? Perhaps they have coded human nature itself, turning our hopes and fears into variables in an equation of infinite profit. This journey through the world of invisible capital shows us that financial freedom, for the majority, is a statistical mirage. As long as the rules are dictated by machines operating in a temporal dimension inaccessible to human biology, we will always be at a disadvantage. The wealth generated by these technologies doesn't build bridges, doesn't cure diseases, doesn't feed the hungry. It just accumulates, dense and gravitational, distorting reality around it. It is pure power, distilled into zeros and ones. And if they can predict what you will do with your money before you even know it, the compelling question is, how far does this knowledge go? If they already master the energy that moves the world, the matter that builds it, and the financial flow that governs it, only one final frontier remains. The most sacred and paradoxical as it may seem, the most lucrative of all. Not what is in your wallet, but what is inside your cells. The ultimate control is not about having, it is about being. To continue unraveling this thread and enter the most intimate sphere of this silent conspiracy, I need to know if you are following the gravity of this manipulation. If the idea that your decisions may have already been calculated by a machine unsettles you, leave the phrase, "the code," in the comments. Write it to seal the understanding that ignorance is their greatest source of profit. And prepare yourself, for what comes next deals not with numbers, but with the very essence of life and death. Case 4. Medical advances that never reach the public. We have now reached the final frontier, the one that touches not what we own, but what we are. If the control of energy defines our comfort, and the control of finance defines our freedom, the control of health defines our very existence. And it is here, in the sterile and silent corridors of modern medicine, that perhaps the greatest and most disturbing secret of all resides. There is a cruel paradox hanging over the global pharmaceutical and medical industry. A patient cured is a customer lost. From a purely capitalist point of view, the definitive cure is a failed business model. Real profit, the kind that sustains trillion-dollar empires and funds powerful lobbyisms, not from solving the problem, but from managing the disease, the maintenance of life through chronic treatments, daily pills, and therapies that merely suppress symptoms without rooting out the cause, creates the perfect cash flow constant and lifelong. But was this always the only possible path? History, when read between the lines of torn-out pages, suggests otherwise. In the early 20th century, before the consolidation of petrochemical medicine, there was an explosion of research in the field of bioelectricity and resonance frequencies. The name Royal Raymond Rife appears frequently in these erased records. Rife was not a mystic. He was a brilliant scientist who developed optical microscopes with a resolution that, supposedly, far exceeded what we have today, allowing him to observe live, active viruses, something modern electron microscopy, which kills the sample, does not allow in the same way. His great discovery, however, was the principle of the mortal oscillatory rate. Just as an opera singer can shatter a crystal glass by hitting the exact note of its resonance, Rife discovered that every pathogen, every cancer cell, possessed a unique electromagnetic frequency. By emitting a specific counterfrequency, he could disintegrate the virus or bacterium without causing any harm to the surrounding human tissue. Reports from the era, kept in dusty archives and often discredited as pseudoscience by the official narrative, speak of a banquet in 1934 where prominent doctors celebrated the end of all disease. The technology worked. It was cheap. It was painless. And above all, it was a real cure. But what happened next follows the dark pattern we already identified with Tesla. Labs were raided, records confiscated, reputations destroyed, and machines mysteriously malfunctioned. Medicine took a different path, focused exclusively on chemical intervention, patenable and highly profitable. The decision to bury frequency medicine was not scientific, it was economic. If a machine, which can be built once and used for decades, can cure multiple diseases just by adjusting a dial, what happens to big pharma stocks? Take Hoards. The impact of this suppression on humanity's journey is incalculable. How many lives were shortened? How much suffering was prolonged, just to protect dividends? Now I want to go even deeper into the subject, Because the true revelation is not just about destroyed antique machines, but about the mindset of those who hold these hidden truths today. If we believe that technology always evolves, even in secret, we must assume the terrifying possibility that cures for the diseases we fear most already exist, but they are not on pharmacy shelves. They are reserved. Imagine a level of healthcare access where cancer, cellular degeneration, or aging are not sentences, but treatable inconveniences. This creates a biological divide in the human species. An elite that lives longer with greater cognitive and physical vigor, and a working mass whose biology has managed to last just long enough to be productive before succumbing to expensive diseases that drain any accumulated wealth back into the system. This is the final transformation of society, the creation of gods and mortals, not by divine right, but by technological access. Behind the scenes of the world's most exclusive private hospitals, or in research facilities that do not appear on maps, advanced gene therapies, organ regeneration, and bioelectric manipulation may already be the norm. While we argue about the price of insulin or the efficacy of an antidepressant, the real decisions about human longevity are being made far from public scrutiny. The knowledge of how the human body actually works, that we are electrical beings in an electric universe, not just bags of chemical reactions, keeping the population ignorant about their own biological nature, creates absolute dependence on the external system. We feel fragile, victims of genetics or bad luck, when in truth we might have dormant self-healing potential, blocked by a toxic environment designed to keep us sick. The hidden truth here is that perfect health is the greatest threat to the system of control. A healthy human, with a clear mind and a strong body, is hard to manipulate. They question, they resist, they create. A sick, tired, and medicated human simply obeys. The fortunes built upon our fragility are immense, but the moral cost is a debt humanity carries in silence. When we look at these lost medical technologies, we are not just looking at wasted business opportunities. We are looking at a stolen future, where quality of life would not be a luxury, but a birthright ensured by true science free from the shackles of predatory profit. If this possibility that the cure was traded for profit makes your blood boil, or if you feel that health should be humanity's most protected asset, leave the word life in the comments. Write it as a manifesto that you value existence above any balance sheet. And now, with all these pieces of the puzzle, matter, money, and life, remains for us to take a step back to see the complete image that has formed before us. As we connect these pieces, free energy, eternal matter, the invisible code, and the silence to cure the picture becomes undeniable. True power is not the kind that flaunts itself in the headlines, but the kind that operates in the silence of the shadows, shaping the destiny of us all. If this journey has opened a crack in your perception of reality, and if you value content that respects your intelligence, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It is the only way to ensure you are in the front row for the upcoming revelations we are preparing. Hit the like button to strengthen the connection we've forged today. And for you, who have remained attentive until this very last second, show that you are part of the minority seeking the whole truth. Write the phrase "I see" in the comments. The investigation does not end here. There is a video right next to me that perfectly complements this subject and reveals other essential secrets. Click it and continue this journey with me over there. If this made you think, question, doubt the surface, subscribe, share this video, and stay curious.